Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's a beautiful Saturday evening, and I would like to welcome all of you to our online community. We are having a baby, so I hope we are all doing well, whichever stage of this journey that you are in, whether you're a new mother, you're a pregnant woman, you are now thinking about starting your pregnancy journey, or you are just here for curiosity's sake, you are welcome. And we created this page, this community, we are having a baby, because we want to connect with you outside of the consulting room. We know sometimes you have so many questions on your mind that you wish you could interact with others who are probably going along the same journey as you are, or to have an expert's opinion, but somehow you feel a bit shy doing that when you come to see us in the consulting room. So we thought, why not create an online community where everybody can just be themselves and ask whatever questions they want to ask and do whatever they want to do, maybe not even with the experts, but connect with other people who have been through the same thing as they are going through and get answers. So we are hoping to have weekly interactions on all topics relating to pregnancy and early child care, and as well as, and this will happen either on Saturdays, every Saturday or Sunday. And then monthly, we are going to have live presentations like what I'm going to be giving today, with experts in the field, pediatricians, obstetrician, gynecologists, other experts, mental health experts, on anything pertaining to pregnancy. This one will be done monthly. Kindly look out for the posters on our online community. And you need to connect with us on Facebook. Just search for the We Are Having a Baby in your search box, or search for the broader Yahoo medical community on Facebook, and you should be able to find us. We'll be broadcasting to you live on Facebook, on Twitter, and as well as on YouTube. So without much more, I'm Angela Frimpong, and I'm an obstetrician gynecologist with the Mother and Child Unit of Yahoo Medical Center. So today I will be coming your way and kind of starting you through this journey, and telling you about how do I get to this stage? How do I optimize my chances of getting pregnant? So we'll just start the presentation today, and hopefully if you have any questions, just put it in the comments, and then as I go along, if anything comes up, just put it in the comments and I'll answer your questions at the end of the presentation. Okay, so pregnancy. Ghana have a fairly high fertility rate. So almost everywhere you go, you see pregnant women walking around. So it seems so easy. It is seemingly so easy. And yet for some people, it is so difficult because they've been trying and trying, and it looks like it's becoming an unsurmountable mountain because they've been trying for so hard and they are just not getting there. Or maybe they've gotten there sometimes and unfortunately it just doesn't end in a happy ending. Then there is no baby at the end of it, and it makes it seem so disheartening. So how do we get there? How do we move from what seems so easy for other people? Some people don't even ask for it. Some people don't even want it and they get it. Some people just say, we are trying just once. Or we don't even want to try. We are just having fun. And boom, they are pregnant. And yet we will spend all our days doing it and nothing comes out. And when this happens, it affects kind of every aspect of our lives. It affects our psyche, it affects our emotions, it affects our relationships, our work, and our productivity and our health. Our emotions, because you're always thinking, what is wrong with me? Why am I not what everybody is doing? And they just go and they are like baby machines. Every 9 months, they are churning out a new one. And I've been doing it, and it can send you into depression. It affects your mental health. You're always thinking there must be something wrong with me. Your relationship with others. Sometimes when you even see people who are pregnant, you're kind of like, how does she get to be pregnant and I don't? And they annoy you just by being pregnant. I remember there was a time when somebody in my family was struggling with pregnancy. She had been married for about 5 years. And she couldn't have any. When I get pregnant, I feel guilty because I don't even know how to tell her that I'm pregnant, because I'm like, how is this going to affect her? When you're at work, sometimes all you think about is, how am I going to get pregnant? Next month, what am I doing? Next month, I should be pregnant. And instead of being productive, you are online searching for ways of getting pregnant. You are moving from one clinic to the other, looking for ways of getting pregnant. And then because desperation kind of starts setting in. We sort of start taking in all sorts of things. There are so many things out there. Do this, do that, and we follow everything, and eventually our health begins to suffer. Our relationships with even our partner, the one who is supposed to be there for us, that we are supposed to go on this journey with, begins to suffer, because then we tend to start blaming each other. Is it your fault? Is it my fault? Why are we not getting pregnant? And so every aspect of our lives is involved in this issue. So let's just kind of go through the process of how pregnancy itself happens. And then maybe when we kind of know, it will also help us know maybe what we are doing wrong, how are we not getting there, and how we can optimize our chances of getting there. So there are 3 processes involved in pregnancy, really kind of 4, but 3. So there is ovulation, and then there is fertilization, and then implantation. And after implantation, you have the pregnancy symptoms. Ovulation is when a matured egg is released from the ovaries. And for women, if you see the picture I have on the screen, that's just the second picture. It's a diagrammatic, where the implantation is written. It's a diagrammatic representation of what our internal reproductive organ look like, the uterus with the ovaries. So the ovaries is a paired organ, one on the left, one on the right. And that's what matures every month and releases an egg. So there are eggs in there that we were born with, and a certain number. And every month, since the time we started menstruating, we release one. A group of them starts maturing. One matures to a stage where it is released. And that is what we term as ovulation. Usually ovulation happens about 14 days before the start of a period. So before you start seeing blood, 14 days before you started seeing blood, you've ovulated. Most people are not aware of this event happening. A few people notice it because some people do get pain, what we call mid-cycle pain during ovulation. And some people are so specific, they can tell you the pain is happening on my left, so I'm ovulating from the left side, or the pain is happening on my right, so I'm ovulating from the right side. So some people kind of know these things. Another way that you can know, so in a regular 28-day cycle, menstrual cycle, about 14 days to the start of you bleeding, you ovulate. However, if you're like most women, many women, you may not have a perfect 28-day cycle. So how you know how your mid-cycle, when you ovulate, is for you to have a menstrual diary. So when you start, for example, this month, you kind of take note of when you first started bleeding this month. You put it down. Next month, when did you start bleeding? You put that down. The following month, you do that. You track that for about 3 months, and you kind of see a pattern of how your menstrual period is like. If all things being equal, if you're not having any issues, you see a pattern, and then you get to know, oh, maybe I have a 30-day cycle, or I have a 31-day cycle, or a 26-day cycle, or a 21-day cycle. So now this is how my cycle is. So then you know that about 14 days before you start bleeding, you ovulate around that time. And this timing is pretty consistent for everybody. So, but the other signs that you can also see that will also help you know that you are ovulating or you are about to ovulate. When you are about to ovulate, if you know, you kind of get to know your body, you notice that there is a change in the discharge that you are having, the vaginal discharge that you are having. The discharge becomes a bit more thinner, watery, clearer, and we call it stretchable, but I know nobody is going to take their discharge and be stretching it. But in medical terms, we call it's a bit more stretchable. So it's what you can notice as a layman is thinner. There seems to be more discharge coming, is clearer, it's almost watery. And then, immediately after you ovulate, that discharge changes and becomes a little bit more scanty. It becomes scantier and it becomes cloudier. So before it was watery, thin, copious, now it's scanty, cloudy. That shows that you've ovulated. So that's one sign that you know. Another sign too that you know that you're about to ovulate is by checking, or you've ovulated, is by checking your basal body temperature. So every morning before you get out of bed, you get a special thermometer that is specific for checking basal body temperatures. And you check your temperature and you record it. So you have to do it throughout the month. so that you record what temperatures you're having. And you'll notice a pattern that around a certain time of the month, there is a little rise in the temperature, just about 1 degree or 0.5 degree rise in the temperature. But if you are not sick, this will be pretty consistent from month to month. And this tells you that this is around the time that ovulation is happening for you. So these are the things that you know. And when we finally ovulate, that egg that we've ovulated is viable or is alive only for about 12 to 24 hours. So imagine that. All these things you've gone through for the whole month, 12 to 24 hours, the egg is popped out 12 to 24 hours later. It is gone. That's the end of it. There is nothing that can resurrect it. It won't wake up for anybody, not even for the strongest sperm in this universe. So that shows you that the window for pregnancy is not that big. So it seems like it's easy, but it's not really that easy. So that's what happens with ovulation. And then fertilization. Fertilization is when a viable egg meets a viable sperm. So for fertilization to happen, there should be sex, penile-vaginal sex, a man and a woman having intercourse, penis and vaginal intercourse. If we are swallowing sperms, it's not going to get us pregnant because it's just going to go through the alimentary canal and out. It needs to go through the reproductive tract and meet up with a viable egg before fertilization can occur. And this fertilization usually happens along the fallopian tubes, the two tubes that we see still in that picture where implantation is. See the tubes leading from the ovary. So you have the ovary, the egg has been released from the ovary and it is traveling along. It's still within its 12 hours to 24 hours. And within that time, a sperm is released, or there are even sperms that are already waiting. In fact, the best time for fertilization to occur is when there are sperms waiting for the egg to come and meet it. Because for the sperm, when it is inside you, it stays about 5 days before it dies off. So it's alive for 5 days. So the best time is when the sperm is already there waiting for the egg to hang on. I understand my presentation is not showing yet. Sorry for this technical. We are having a few technical challenges, but I hope you are following along. And if you have any difficulty, just put it up in the comments. I'll try and bring it down as much as possible. So 5 days, sperm is alive. So the best time is when the sperm is released before the egg comes. So some of the techniques that we kind of use to help women who are having a few difficulties with trying to conceive is something that we call timed coitus, timed intercourse. So we kind of schedule for you when you should have sex, because we know maybe these and these times are what is going to help you. So we get to know your cycle, and then we try to know when will be the best time for you to have sex. So time intercourse. So sometimes when you see your obstetrician, your gynecologist, they will give you a timetable for having sex. Don't be offended by it. It's just techniques that sometimes we use to help women to just get along with it a bit. So after fertilization happens, so now a viable sperm has met a viable egg and penetrated it, and things are looking good. Fertilization has happened. So the next stage that we move to after fertilization is implantation. The fertilized ovum would spend about a few days traveling along the fallopian tube to get into the inside of the uterus itself. About 5 days, 3 to 5 days. And then it gets to the inside of the uterus, and then it attaches itself to the lining of the uterine wall. And that is what we call implantation. This process, you are not going to feel it. It's not painful. Few people may have some crampy feeling like you're about to have your period. Few people, but it's not painful. You won't feel it. And then when this happens, when the attachment happens, a hormone that is called human chorionic gonadotrophin, HCG for short, is released. And this is the hormone that we measure when we do the urine pregnancy test. So this hormone starts getting excreted in our urine. So when we are doing the pregnancy test, this is actually the hormone that we are measuring to see whether you are pregnant. So once it starts showing up in the urine, or there's a certain quantity of it in your blood, then we know that yes, magic has happened and pregnancy is on its way. So that's implantation. And after implantation is when we start having pregnancy symptoms like nausea, like changes in the breast. Also, this HCG that is produced that we test is also the one that helps the uterine lining not to shed. Because in the absence of a pregnancy, every month the uterus prepares itself to receive a pregnancy. But when pregnancy does not happen, the uterine lining is shed. Is shed. That's what we see as the menstrual flow, as the blood that comes. So the HCG prevents the shedding of the uterine lining because now what the uterus wants has been done, pregnancy has been achieved, and so the uterine lining is not shed. And then, so this is what happens in pregnancy. This is what happens before pregnancy occurs. So how do we optimize our chances that at this time when I'm ready to have a baby, how do we optimize our chances of getting pregnant? The first thing that I would advise that we do is to seek preconceptional care. So we are here for you. We here at Nyaho are here for you. All our obstetrician gynecologists, in fact, all our doctors are here for you. Just walk in anytime you feel like, oh, now I'm ready to have a baby. Now I've been married. I've enjoyed single life. We've had fun as a couple, but now we are ready to start planning a family. Walk in at any time and look for us so that we can plan how the pregnancy should go in. I know most of the time here in Ghana, we don't plan our pregnancies, but it's best to always plan because there are a few things that you might not be so aware of, but in your planning process, in your preconceptional care process, we are going to check you and have a look at it and see whether you are optimized for having a baby. So some of the things that your doctor might want to do is probably to get you to a healthy weight so that when you get pregnant, everything will go on, hopefully, okay. Because sometimes when we are a bit too skinny, then we are going to struggle to obtain an optimal weight. We may have a few deficiencies in iron, and there may be a few problems with the pregnancy. If we are a bit too heavy, we might struggle with things like diabetes and other things that can be very problematic in pregnancy. We would want to have a look at improving your diet and maybe you exercising a bit so that we can optimize you for that process. If you are somebody who drinks a lot, we would want you to cut down on the alcohol intake because that's one too can affect your ovulation processes. It can affect the developing baby that we are hoping to have because at the end of the day, if we are planning to get pregnant, we are hoping to have a healthy baby. If you smoke, then this will be the time that we will take you through a process of quitting smoking so that you can start conception without anything that will affect the baby. You would also want to cut down on caffeine. If we drink a lot of coffee and tea and other things that contain caffeine, you might want to cut down on having these things so that we can optimize your getting pregnant. The next thing after preconception care that you would want to think about is getting to know your cycle. I spoke about the ovulation, which is very integral to us getting pregnant because the ovulation is kind of the place that starts everything. It starts everything. So we want you to get to know your cycle. It's very important that as a woman, you know what your body is going through each month. And so you can, even when you come to the consultant and we ask you, have you ovulated? You'll be able to tell us, yeah, I think I ovulated 2 days ago because I noticed that my discharge was watery, was thin before, and now it has become scanty and is cloudy. And that would be, wow, she really knows her cycle. So, okay, let's work with that. So get to know your cycle, plan a menstrual diary, follow your period for about 3 months, get to know everything about your cycle. How many days are in my cycle? How many days am I bleeding for? When do I think I'm ovulating? And when you know that, then you are really on board and you are prepared to get to know what you are doing with your cycle. Because the thing is, ovulation is the best time for you to get pregnant. Any other thing you do before ovulation is just for enjoyment. But around the time, so usually when we are planning, we are doing time coitus for you. We are planning a schedule for sex for somebody who is having a little bit of difficulty. Most of the action is concentrated about 10 days before, after your period and before your next period. That's the time we think you'll be ovulating. So that's when we are planning everything to happen. And then the next thing too that you need to know when you are optimizing is to have sex regularly. I cannot emphasize this enough. Pregnancy is about sex, sex, sex. Okay, I can say it more than enough. Sex, 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 have sex. I have a client, one of my clients comes to me in the consulting room. I'm like, so how many times, and this is a question, please don't get offended when you come to the consulting room and you've been trying for a long time to get pregnant, and we ask you, so how many times in a week are you having sex? Because we need to know so that we can know what the problem is. So she goes, oh, maybe twice in a month. Okay, so immediately that's where the problem is, because you need to have sex and you need to have it regularly if you are thinking about getting pregnant or if you want to get pregnant, because if that sperm does not come to meet that egg, is not, nothing is going to happen. The egg is not going to fertilize itself and the sperm is not going to fertilize itself. And what she told me was that somehow every time when she feels like, it's around the time that she feels like she's ovulating, then the devil comes up and she's fighting with her partner. So I'm like, you know what? You just need to forget about everything. Pray and plan that even no matter what your partner does to annoy you during that period, focus on your goal. Just have a tunnel vision and focus on making a baby. And don't fight. Because yes, it's stressful when you are trying to have a baby and it's not happening. And so you kind of tend to get annoyed with each other. And it will be so sad that you are going to miss this very short window that you are going to have a baby because we are spending that time fighting and we cannot have sex. So sex is integral to you getting pregnant and you need to have it. However, when it comes to getting pregnant, too much is not the thing. So you don't want to have, hi Yara, here's the poor devil. Everything is about the devil. Hello, Erabna, Linda, thank you. We can see that you are having fun and we are being educated. That is the purpose. Everything is not about the devil. The devil will be blamed for everything, even when we cannot have sex. So when it comes to pregnancy, too much of sex too is not what we essentially want you to be doing. So usually we are going to want you to be doing sex every other day instead of every day. And trust me, it works. So you would want to have sex every other day, but not every day, because I told you already the sperm can stay for 5 days before it dies off. So even the one you deposited 5 days before you ovulated, there's a likelihood that it will be there. But if it's not there, then 2 days after the first 5 days, you are going to do it again. So that one will be there. Then 2 days later, you will do it again, and that one's still there. So there will be plenty. And remember, at every ejaculation, we are releasing millions of these critters into the reproductive tract of the woman. So there will be plenty there and one of them is surely going to do the job of getting the pregnancy going. Also, when it comes to sex, there is no position that is the best. There are old wives' tales there that after sex you kind of need to raise your legs in the air. The things people go through when we want to get pregnant. Let me not get started there. You kind of need to put up your legs in the air for about 30 minutes. No, you don't necessarily have to do that. And no position is forbidden. But however, you would want to cut down on gravity-defying positions. You know those positions that I'm talking about. Because the sperm, if it's defying gravity, is going to flow out, and not many of them, some are going to stay, but not many of them are going to stay. So maybe the good old missionary position is good, is the best. But all other positions, if you don't enjoy missionary and you enjoy other positions, it's also good, but just don't do the gravity-defying positions when we are trying to get pregnant. Okay, so that's the other thing. And then the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to optimizing our chances of getting pregnant is distressing. I just want to take a bit of a time and really calm down and talk about us distressing. Stress is a powerful thing in the human body. Stress can do powerful things to the human body. It's good. In sometimes stress is good, because when you meet a snake, if you are not stressed, you just stand there and the snake will come and bite you. So it's the hormones that are released, the cortisol that is from the stress that is what is going to make us run. When you are in an emergency and you are not stressed, you are not going to start screaming for help. So stress is good. But when it comes to pregnancy, stress is an enemy. You do not need to be stressed because stress is going to affect your hormones, and then you are not going to ovulate, or your menstrual period is going to be all over the place, and your ovulation is going to be haywire, and you are not going to track it. You are not going to be able to know when is the best time. So any way that you can distress. One time ago, I had a client in my consulting room. She came 3 months after getting married, and she was very worried because within these 3 months, she has tried and she hadn't gotten pregnant. And she says when she goes to work, when she goes to church, everybody is looking at her because she's an eldest daughter. Everybody is looking at, when are you getting pregnant? And she also confided in me because she had been a little bit of a bad girl. She was worried that all the things that she had done before was solving her chances. So now she even hates having sex. When her husband is coming near her, she doesn't even want him to come because is they are doing it and they are not getting pregnant, and sex is no more fun for her. So I didn't do anything with her. I just sat her down for about 30 minutes and I talked with her. You are young. There is nothing that is preventing you from getting pregnant. You can't get pregnant. Just take your time. Enjoy the process. You have just been married 3 months. And that's also the problem that is wrong with our society. You get married this month. Next month, people start looking at your stomach and start imagining a bump over there. And they want you. It's like they are wishing for you. So 3 months, if they are not seeing anything, then they start asking, when are you starting to have babies? When are you going to get pregnant? It's too much. It's too much. And because it was done to us, somehow we also tend to do it to others. So there was a time I told myself I'm only doing it because I like helping people. So I want to know so that if there's a problem, I can help them. But then I had to tell myself, stop doing it. No, it's not right. Don't do it. Don't ask people when are they going to start having babies. You don't know what they are going through. So don't do it. Don't start looking for bumps in newlywed people. Maybe they intend to take a year to get to know themselves very well before the children come in. Don't do that, because when we do that, it just stresses the couple. And if they have been trying for a while and they cannot get pregnant, they need our support. They don't need us to be looking at their tummies every month and maybe even going through their trash cans and looking to see whether they have menstruated again that month. I mean, we can do all sorts of things. We need to, the concerned members of the community, need to take a seat back, need to take a step back and just relax and give the couple a chance to do their own thing. It's going to happen. Most couples within a year of having regular sex, regular intercourse, are going to get pregnant without any help from anybody within 1 year. That's why most of the time when you come, we ask you, how long have you been trying? Have you been trying for a year and you have not been getting pregnant? So most couples within a year are going to get pregnant after regular sex. Most people are going to get pregnant. So there are very few people who don't, even when they come, most people do not even need drugs. A lot of people are just going to need a little bit of talking to, a little bit of taking the stress away. Yes, Prince, stress has a big impact on us conceiving, because stress is going to mess up with your hormones. And when your hormones are messed up, you are not going to be ovulating well. You are not going to be ejaculating well. When you are stressed, I saw a very funny thing on the internet yesterday. It said most people are in a hurry to get married because of sex, because they want to have more sex. And then they get married and then the bills start coming in and the man cannot even get an erection for 6 months. Because when you are stressed, nothing is going to happen. You are not going to get an erection if you are stressed. You are not going to ovulate if you are stressed. So everything needs to be taken. We need to take a seat back and distress any way that you can. If it's in jogging, that you jog and it takes your stress away, do that. If it's in singing, that takes your stress away, do that. Do things as a couple. Don't only be focused on we need to have a baby. So every month, we've bought an ovulation predictor kit. So every month, I'm only going to have sex because I've ovulated. Otherwise, I'm not going to do anything with you. No, there is joy and fun in having babies, in having sex. And I think the Lord said we should enjoy it. It's for reproduction and for companions and for it's for procreation and enjoyment, I think, if I remember my Bible very well. So we should have fun, and the fun should come before the procreation, because I mean, when you're having fun, it's going to happen naturally without you even thinking about it. This young lady that I was telling you, 3 months after, so she started, after I spoke with her, she started having fun. The next time I saw her, she was pregnant. And nobody had to give her any medication. She didn't have to do anything. It's just that she realized she needs to distress and start having fun, start enjoying the marriage, and not focus too much on the people, the concerned well wishers that are around her, that are looking at her every month and thinking, when are you going to get pregnant? When are you going to get pregnant? Are you not getting pregnant? And then she herself will be looking at herself and asking, is it because of the things I did before I got married? That's why I'm not getting pregnant, and all those things. And all those are going to cause a whole lot of stress, and we do not need the stress. Remember, I'm going to answer all your questions after the presentation, which I'll be bringing to an end pretty soon. So I'm noting down all the questions, and I will answer all the questions that you have after the presentation. So having said all this, however, there are times when, as a couple trying to get pregnant, we need to seek help. So when do we need to seek help? When should you come to us here at Nyaho Medical Center and tell us that, I've been trying, I know I've been doing this, I've been doing the sweeting me and sweeting you, it sweet me, it sweet you part for a long time, and it's not happening. What am I doing wrong? What is wrong? What should we do? The only time you need to seek help are three instances. That is, these are the only times we want you to come to us seeking help. One is that you are under 35 years old and you've been trying for over a year. When I say trying, it means you've been having regular unprotected sex. Okay, so having regular protected sex is also not trying to conceive. Having regular unprotected sex for over a year, and you are under 35 years old, then we would want you to come to us so that we can see what could be the problem and then try and help you. The next is when you are over 35 years old and you have been trying for over 6 months. Over 35 being the magic age, because for women, at the beginning, I said that when we are born with a number of eggs that we are ever going to have. Unlike men who produce new sperms every 3 months, new ones, every 3 months, constantly, they are producing new sperms. For us, is we have all our eggs when we are born. We are born with it, all our eggs. So when I was born, I had every egg that I'm ever going to have. And when I start menstruating every month, I shed some. In fact, it's a cohort. A group of them start developing, and one of them gets lucky and is ovulated, is a student. So every month some goes. What research have shown is that by the age of 35, your fertility is reducing. So which tells us that the optimal, when you're at the peak of your fertility, is in your mid-20s to early 30s. That is the peak of your fertility. That is when is most optimum for you. But for most of us, because of schooling and career, we tend to start our families a bit late. So 35, by that time, your fertility curve starts coming down. So then we don't want you, when you're over 35 years old, we don't want you to be trying for 1 year. Just 6 months of regular sex, and if it's not happening, come, so that if there is any problem that we need to have a look at, we are going to quickly take a look at it and find a solution and hopefully get you on that journey. The third and last reason we would want you to come in is if you have a history, you've tried, yes, for you can get pregnant. But you get pregnant 6 weeks and then it's gone. You test, you are pregnant, then the next time you start bleeding. So you've had a lot of these issues, then we would also want you to come in. So even though you may be under 35 years, if you're having a history of multiple pregnancy failures or miscarriages, we would want you to come in so that we can have a look at it and help you in any way that we can. So what's the takeaway? Having said all this, what essential things do I need us, every one of us, to take away from today, this presentation that I've had? Remember that the processes of getting pregnant, there is ovulation, there is fertilization, there is implantation. The only ones that really you can do something about is the fertilization, because that involves you having sex. Ovulation is something that's going to happen for most people every month. What the only thing you can help about that is to know when that is happening so that you can optimize when you have sex. That is not to say that you only have sex when you're ovulating, but optimize you having sex so that all the other times when you do it is strictly for enjoyment. And then when it is not happening, when you are thinking about getting pregnant, optimizing your chances of getting pregnant means you want to seek preconception care. At preconception care, I forgot to mention, we are also going to prescribe for you folic acid. Just folic acid, that's all you're going to need. Folic acid is what is needed for the early building blocks of our cells is needed. That is what is needed, and that's all a baby. So if and most likely because of our nutrition, we may have low stocks of folate in our body. So when we give folic acid, hopefully it will build up to such an extent that when you do get pregnant, within the time that we are seeing you, then baby is going to have all the early building materials that they need to start the cells going. So we are going to prescribe. So you need preconception care. Preconception care will take a look at drugs that you may be on for hypertension, for diabetes. What drugs do we need to take away? What drugs do we need to replace? Are you too heavy? Are you too thin? Do you need to be put on a diet to gain a little bit of weight? Do you need to lose a little bit of weight to optimize your chances of getting pregnant? Are you drinking at every occasion that you go? Do you need to cut a little bit down on your alcohol intake? Are you smoking? Do you need to stop smoking at all? And stopping smoking is a process. It just doesn't come at once. So you need to come for preconception care so that we can also help you, take you through that process of stopping the cigarettes, the nicotine. Then, so that's for you to do. And then when do you need to come to us? When you're under 35 years old, you've been trying for a year, having regular unprotected sex, and baby is not coming. Come when you're over 35 years old, you've been trying for 6 months, having regular unprotected sex, come and see us. Or if you do get pregnant every month, there are months you check the pregnancy test is positive, but it doesn't take long and you lose the baby. Kindly come so that we can take a look. But what I want to emphasize is that it can be challenging trying to get pregnant, especially when it is not happening right away. But we need to be patient. It is normal. The chances of most people, healthy, young, fertile people getting pregnant in the month is 20%. So the odds are not that great, just 20%, because the egg is going to stay between 12 to 24 hours. So the odds are not that great. But a year of regular unprotected sex, most couples, about 90% of couples, are going to make it, are going to get pregnant. It will happen. It will happen for you. Trust me, it will. If it doesn't happen by yourself, when you come and see us, it is going to happen. So do not stress and try to keep the baby making fun. Make it exciting for you. Make the journey exciting for you. Make it fun. If it's sex you're having, enjoy it. Not only because it's the end to having a baby, but enjoyment. Sex is for enjoyment. So enjoy it. Enjoy it. I cannot emphasize it enough. If you are not enjoying sex, you are not going to get pregnant. That's a myth. But let's just take it, enjoy it, so that we can be adventurous and be relaxed and see it as a journey that you and your partner are going to go on. And let's not be too focused on the baby aspect of it. There's something we call medical or die. No, it's not baby or die. It's the marriage or the partnership or the relationship we have most important. Then the babies are a gift that is eventually going to happen. And we here at Nyaho Medical Center, and especially those of us at the mother and child unit, are here for you. We there for you. We are going to be with you every step of the way, from preconception to when you finally get pregnant. Every step of the way, we there for you. We are going to be there holding your hand, except during the sex aspect. That one is on you and your partner. But for the rest of the time, we are going to be with you every step of the way, seeing you through, that you have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy outcome at the end of it. Okay, so now I'm quickly going to go through some of the questions that has come in and see about answering them. So Prince said, The stress surrounding baby making after marriage can be particularly difficult and contagious. How do you deal with a partner who is worried something is wrong and always imagining the worst possible scenarios? Yes. So sometimes there are times when one of the partners may think that, oh, it's because of something that I may have done, because maybe when I was young, I was a bit adventurous and I kind of got into a lot of things. And so maybe it's because of the things that I did, or maybe I feel there's something wrong with me because it's just not happening. So, how do you deal with that? And I think this calls for understanding. The other partner needs to be really understanding and need to be able to be such that the two of you can share your worries and your concerns and know that it is not going to be told to other people. It doesn't matter how supportive your immediate family are. Baby making is between you and your partner. It's not between you, your mother, your sisters or sisters-in-laws. No, it's between you and your partner. And there are things that you may probably discover when eventually you take the move to come and seek help. That has to be kept between the two of you. Because maybe it may be found that one of you may be very low on sperm count. This information is just between the two of you. It doesn't need to go out there because there is something that can be done about that, and it's going to happen. And eventually it will happen. And then how do you go back and explain that? Yeah, you know what? I said my husband had low sperm count, but now we have a baby. And then what are you going to say? And then your whole issue is going to be long. Or if the woman is being found that maybe one of her tubes is blocked, yes, one may be blocked, but there's the other one that is there. Or even if both are blocked, yes, but we can harvest the ovaries with the eggs from the ovaries, and we can do implantation and all sorts of things. So how do you then go back and explain to people, yeah, you know what, I told you that my wife has both of her tubes blocked, but now we are pregnant. And then they will ask you, and then what happened and what happened? So understanding, having an open communication, talking about it, and encouraging each other and knowing that it's going to happen. So we shouldn't stress too much. I think it's going to help. And when a partner knows that the other one is in support, even if the fault is from them, and I'm putting fault in quotation marks, because when it comes to infertility, the honest truth is that 40% of the issues are usually from the woman, 40% of the issues are also from the man, and the remaining is just, it's just unknown. It's something that nobody really can. It's not the fault of the woman. It's not the fault of the man. It's just not happening. Nobody can really put a finger as to why it's happening like that. But eventually, for even these people, eventually they do get pregnant. So no worries. It's going to happen. We need to have open communication, be able to talk to each other and encourage each other, and know that we are in this together, and it's eventually going to happen for us. Rabna Batel says, what advice would you give to ladies whose period pattern is scattered and is trying to get pregnant? So yes, I said for some women, they have a perfect 28-day cycle. So every month, like on the clock, their period comes. But for many, many, many women, their periods are not like that. So if you are trying to get pregnant and your period is scattered, if you're not trying to get pregnant and it's scattered, it's fine. It's no problem. The longer the period, even the better. But if you're trying to get pregnant, because you kind of need to know when your ovulation is, that's why I recommend that you plan you make a menstrual diary so that you plan. So this month in May, my period came on the 1st of May. So for the rest of May, I didn't see a period. In the month after May, June. In June, it came on the 5th of June, which is telling me that I probably do not have a 28-day cycle. Because if you have a perfect 28-day cycle, if it comes on the 1st of May, it's going to come around the 29th of May, or even slightly before the 29th of May. So you are going to have it 2 times in the month of May. But if it comes after in June, then it's probably telling you your period is a bit longer than 28 days. And so you've planned, you've seen how it happened for May, you've seen how it happens for June. July, again, you document. A pattern is going to emerge as to how your period length is like. For most people, it's a range. It's not going to be every month 28 days. For most people, it's between 26 to 28 days. For most people, for some people, between 33 to 35 days. For some people, it's between 21 to 25 days. It's going to be a range. But a pattern is going to emerge that you are going to know that my period is this long. As well, I told you about some of the symptoms that you can look. So when you know the length of your period, then you can kind of know when you're ovulating, because the ovulation happens about 14 days before the start of your period. So you can know when your ovulation happens. I also told you there are symptoms that happens to let you know that you've ovulated. One of these is the vaginal discharge, that is going to be thinner, is going to be watery, is also going to be clearer than other days just before you ovulate. And after you ovulate, it's going to be scanty, it's going to be cloudy. And also the rise in basal body temperature. So your body temperature is going to be a little bit warmer than what it is for other days. You need to buy a special thermometer, and just every morning before you get out of bed, you just check your temperature and record it. And eventually a pattern will emerge that will let you know when exactly in your period that you ovulate. Okay, let me see if I can see some new comments. Okay, so Yaira is asking if we do water birth deliveries. No, as at now we don't do, but Nyaho is expanding and we are getting into new and exciting things. So eventually we are going to bring in all these other natural ways that people want to deliver. And eventually just stay tuned onto the We Are Having a Baby page. We'll let you know when we are there. So Nihat Abubakar is saying, is it true that some couple are just not compatible and can't make babies, but can make babies with other people? I don't want to say that some people are not compatible and can make babies. Everybody can make a baby, even if it's not going to happen naturally through penile-vaginal sex. There are ways that we can help people make a babies. There may be one or two reasons, and some of it may be a bit too technical to get into here. Something about hostile sperms and all that that interacts and is. But there are ways that we can make couples make babies, even if it's not through the normal way, which is through penile-vaginal intercourse. As I said, most people within a year of having regular unprotected sex are going to be able to get pregnant, most couples. And so let's never say never. It's not a word I like. I don't like never. It's going to happen for you, and we are here. We there for you. We know that we want to help you happen. We want to help you to make it happen. So it is going to happen. Just come on board. So from Marion, there's a question that says, can some medication affect the chances of you having babies? Yes, there are some medications that you may go on that may affect your cycle, that may affect your ovulation. For the man, there are some medications that may reduce the amount of sperms that they can make. I especially talked about medications that we will look at during when you come for preconception care, because there are some medications that may not necessarily affect the chances of you having a baby, but will affect the new developing fetus. Because within the first 8 weeks of pregnancy, even before some people get to know that they are pregnant, that is when the baby develops almost everything: the eyes, the heart, the lungs, everything that a human being needs to survive on this earth. The baby is developing it. And there are some medications that are going to affect the developing baby in an adverse way during this process. So we would want to take away some of them. And some of these medications are even medications that you take. There are some diabetic medications, there are some hypertensive medications, there are some medications for depression. So we are not going to take them away so that your diabetes will be all over the place or your hypertension will be all over the place. We are just going to replace them with others that are more baby friendly, that are more pregnancy friendly. All the medications, if you come for preconception care, that we do replace, or we do look for alternatives that are more baby friendly or more pregnancy friendly for you. Kofi is asking, when is the best fertility window in a woman? So for a woman with a 28-day regular cycle, the best window when we are doing, so when you come, we kind of plan a window for you. The best, of course, is the 14th day. That is when ovulation happens. But because is the best time for fertilization to happen is when the viable egg comes to meet a viable sperm. So we kind of plan a few days before this 14 days and a few days after this 14 days, so that there are chances that there will be sperms waiting. So if you had your period, if you started seeing blood on the 1st of May, for example, and you bleed for about 5 days within that time, so by the 5th of May, you are clean, you are clear. Then anytime, and remember, because you started on the 4th of May, we are looking maybe around the 14th of May, that's when you probably start ovulating. So, or you will probably ovulate. So we are looking at, but it's a probability. We don't really know when the ovulation is going to occur. What we do know is that after you ovulate, 14 days after that, you are going to start seeing your period. So because of that, we'll probably, if I'm going to plan your fertility window for you, I'm probably going to tell you to maybe start having sex or start planning towards having a baby sometime from the 10th of May. And then it's going to continue. So 10th, and I'm going to give you 12th, and I'm going to give you 14th itself, and then maybe the 16th. So these are the periods that I'm going to time your coitus or your intercourse for best fertility window for somebody with such a period. Fred is asking, some women was their private part of water after having sex. Can that act prevent wash? Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, Fred, for this question. So I wanted to also get into some women wash their private parts with water after having sex. Yes, I also wanted to get into this. I kind of forget. So thank you so much for bringing it up. When you're trying to get pregnant, I know some of us are very fastidious, and after love making, we kind of want to feel very clean. So we would go and wash down. When we are trying to get pregnant, maybe you can wash down, but not immediately after. Maybe you just want to, because getting up and you in your anatomical position, you standing is anti-gravity. So gravity is going to act on those sperms that has just the semen that has just been deposited into you. Some of it are going to flow out. In fact, number one complaint that a lot of women come to the consulting room with, especially women who are trying to conceive, is that after having sex, the semen flows back out. And I'm always telling them, millions of sperms were deposited into you. Yes, some of the semen will come out, but there are also millions that are already gone up. But because you are trying to optimize your chances of getting pregnant, standing up in the upright position is anti-gravity. Gravity is going to act, and a lot of that semen is going to come out. So yes, you may be fastidious, you may want to wash, but not immediately afterwards, after having sex. Just give yourself, the water itself is not, if it's just water, it's not going to have any effect on the sperm. It's not going to have, just give yourself a little bit of time. Just enjoy yourself having a chat with your partner, who hopefully have not gone to sleep on you. My men, are we there? Don't go to sleep immediately, because if you go to sleep, then the woman will be just there wondering, okay, let me just get up and go and wash. Have not gone to sleep on you. You can just spend that time talking, having a little bit of chat, and just wondering how did it go for you? Was it fun, or it wasn't? Is there something we could do better the next time? So just have maybe about 30 minutes enjoying yourself, and then afterwards, then you can go wash yourself if you need to. Roberta is asking, can using feminine products affect your chances of having a baby? I am going to save this topic maybe for my next presentation. Feminine hygiene products. It's a not. The vagina is a self-cleaning organ. Seeing a little bit of discharge in your underpants means the vagina is doing its work. It is self-cleaning. You don't need feminine hygiene products. It contains things that you do not need. It's going to affect you. It's going to affect so many things. It's going to create an environment in your vagina that is not natural, and that's going to mess up so many things over there. So kindly, especially at the time when you want to have a baby, do not use. Just to get into a little bit of that, the vagina is actually the canal that the penis enters when you're having sex. The outer part of the female external sexual reproductive organ, the genitalia, is what we call the vulva. Now, the vulva is a skin. It has hair on it. It has sweat organs. It has everything like a normal skin. So that one can kind of get a bit funky. lacking smell. So the vagina you can clean with water with mouth soap. The vulva, excuse me, you can clean with, but don't go in there. Don't go in there with anything. All that needs to go in there is water, and that one you don't even need to be pushing up water with a douching syringe or anything. No, don't go in there with anything. It's just the outer part of it that you just want to wash because it can get a little bit funky because of the region that's in is in not much air going there. It's kind of, but please don't use feminine hygiene products. You don't need it. So thank you. We've got just about 5 minutes to go. I don't know if anybody has any other questions that they want to answer. So please link up on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube every last Saturday of the month. Do not miss it. There's going to be a live presentation. Please come and join our community page. We are having a baby on Facebook, or you can join the wider Yahoo Medical community on Facebook. Invite your friends, those who are looking to get pregnant, those who are already pregnant, those new mothers who need help to connect with other mothers. Invite people to come on board and join, and it's fun. There are going to be weekly interactions, and we are always there to answer your questions. There are so many of us, obstetrician, gynecologists, pediatricians, other experts, mental health experts. Some of you, the pregnancy might be just a mental thing. It's just getting on your nerves. I had a patient who, this pregnancy is just too much. I can't stand it. I'm vomiting every day. And you just need somebody to just hold your hand, and we are there. I told you, the only time we cannot hold your hand is during the sex act itself. But after that, every other thing, we're there for you. We are going to be there for you. So join our community, and I hope I will see you next time. Thank you all for joining on. Have a great evening. Enjoy your day, the rest of your day.